Hey guys, Aiden here. I'm gonna keep this brief because I'm a bit sick right now. My sinuses are killing me and such, but I've been struggling a little bit to find and make content. Anytime I record, I'm just not recording anything good, and I don't want to try and force content. So I figured that I would just create a video that's a little bit out of what I usually do, that I've been wanting to kind of try and make for a while. Didn't really know how to do. Everything I say in the video is entirely my opinion, and it's not something that I think that every single player should follow. It's just stuff that I have noticed playing the game for as long as I have, and I think that a lot of people struggle with whenever they look at themselves and wonder why the hell they're not climbing. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. If you don't agree with anything I say, that's perfectly fine. Leave a comment in the description and let me know why you think that I'm wrong, or why you think that there's a problem with anything I say, and leave your opinion on it. I love the feedback, and whether it's negative or positive, constructive criticism is always welcomed. Yeah, remember to like and bye. Alright, before we get into the video, just a little disclaimer. I am a bit sick right now. I have a bit of something going on with my sinuses and my throat. They're really like raw right now and dry, and my nose is a bit clogged, so if I sound a bit off, then that's why, and I apologize ahead of time if it gets annoying for you guys, but I'll try and keep it brief so that way you guys don't have to sit here and listen to me monologue and cough and sneeze. First thing that I notice a lot in lower elo is a lot of the time people like to be the main character of the game and don't take any criticism or critiquing or anything from their teammates, right? They want to be the sole carry, and even if they're having a bad game, they don't want to admit that they're having a bad game, and they don't want to see another teammate do better than them, right? So say you have a teammate, maybe a Sage or Breach or whatever, and they're doing better than you. They're fragging out, they're hitting their shots, they're having a really good game, but it's not your best game. You're not doing great. You know you could do better, but you're just not. Instead of looking at that Sage or that Breach or just that teammate that is doing better and is your win con, instead of looking at them as your win con and playing around them, you actively sabotage them. You actively do the opposite of what they ask or say, because in your head you're better than them, and you will not have someone else tell you how to play your game. That is so detrimental in any competitive game that you could play that is team-based. So detrimental. If you want to win and climb, you need to be elo to put aside your ego and take advice and criticism and ideas from your other teammates. I will say this is kind of more, I said low elo at the beginning, this is probably kind of more of a mid elo to high elo thing, because in gold and below, most of the time the games are decided by like one good player, like someone who just drops 40 kills wins the game. So it's basically just like a 5v1. But once you start getting to like plat and stuff, that scenario kind of starts to end. So another thing I notice in lower elo lobbies is that people are less likely to know how to play in a structured and team environment. As a solo queue, the higher up elo you get, the more clear and concise the communication is. There's not a bunch of dead air, and there's not a bunch of useless comms. So learning to communicate effectively and fast, and cutting all communication, like being able to identify when communication is needed and when communication is not needed, is very, very important. You don't want to be clogging up the comms, and then your teammate who needs to hear something can't, and then you get them killed because they didn't hear the person coming up from behind them on their flank. And on the opposite end of that, maybe you heard the person on their flank, but your teammate didn't. It's very obvious that they didn't, but you don't tell them because you're like, oh, you have like maybe a fear of backseating lower. What if I say the wrong comm and they die because I said the wrong comm? It happens. It happens to everyone. Some people mishear audio cues, and that's just normal. That happens. I don't think that that's a valid reason to crash out on your teammate for them trying to give you comms and help you. Like, don't stop them. Don't make them not want to give you comms. And I think that that's a big reason why people don't comm as much in games, is because anytime they do try to comm in their lower elo games, they get just belittled and screamed at, and people crash out on them. And it really is a really bad epidemic in Valorant, where you get into a ranked game and not a single one of your teammates talk for the whole fucking game. And I'm telling you, it's not because they're socially awkward or anything, it's because they have been trained not to comm. Most of the time, contrary to what you would think, most of the time, even if it's a bad call out, your team isn't going to completely and utterly shit on you for it. Another thing that I have noticed and have a few words I would like to say about is aim training. Now, I'm sure, unless you live under a rock, that you've heard of aim labs, and you've probably seen a lot of people talk about how great aim labs is for your aim and how much you should be labbing and practicing your aim and how much it can help you. And I'm not going to be like, oh, aim labs is useless and shouldn't be used. But I think that there is a big misconception on how much aim labs is going to help you and how much it's going to make you better. Aim labs, if you don't have fundamentals in aiming and fundamentals in gaming, aim labs is not really going to help you that much. You need to have fundamentals and then refine those fundamentals in aim labs in order to actually be able to benefit from those drills and stuff. If you are doing these drills in aim labs and you don't have the fundamentals to be able to transfer what you learn in aim labs, then you're not going to see any big and significant improvements in yourself in comp and in game. What I mean by that is basically you see an enemy and your first thing that you come to mind is just panic spraying and putting bullets down range. Slow is steady and steady is fast. If you have an opponent, say they're walking through and you see them and they see you and they just instantly start shooting at you, right? And they're spraying, they're trying to get you. If you just take the time to dead zone, walk, dead zoning. And by the way, if you don't know what dead zoning is, it's just lining up your crosshair, like keeping your crosshair at a head level no matter where you're looking, and just using your movement to kind of line up your aim. So say there's someone right here and I'm right here. Instead of me doing the micro adjustment to go here, I would just dead zone to get my crosshair already there. But instead of you taking the time to properly aim and just tap them in the head, you start crouch spraying as well. So you start spraying as well, and at that point it becomes a battle of luck, because in Valorant the spray patterns are randomized after like the 5th bullet or something like that. There's no dedicated spray pattern, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So you are not incentivized to shoot more than like 5 to 6 bullets in Valorant. You have way more time in every single gunfight to line up a shot and shoot accurately than you think in Valorant. Here's something that I want all of you watching this video, maybe you're watching it just for shits and giggles and you already know everything I'm saying and you're just like, why the hell is this guy saying what he's saying? But some of you might be brand new to Valorant, or some of you might be struggling to climb, and you're looking at this with an open brain and an open mind, and you're just taking what I say to heart, right? I want you, those of you who are looking to improve in your gunfights and stuff, go into a go into a death match, and whenever you see an enemy and they see you, don't instantly start shooting. Just start strafing, right? Just start strafing and lining up and kind of tracing their head. And when you know that your crosshair's on their head and you're going to kill them, shoot. Don't see them and then start shooting and then try and get there, right? You want to be on them, whether it's chest or head. We'll start out at chest until you get to the good crosshair placement and muscle memory of instantly going for the head. Start on their chest. Get to them and then shoot. Don't shoot and start going to them afterwards, because then you're not only fighting your reaction speed and your aim, but you're also fighting the recoil pattern of the gun. You want to be on the enemy before they shoot, ideally on their head, so that your force bullet kills them. You can even do it in the practice range, right? So just click practice, and while they're strafing, just kind of, you want to dead zone and make sure that your crosshair's on their head, right? And then by the time that you stop, You know that I missed right there, but you know, by the time that you stop, you know it's a kill, right? So don't just instantly just start shooting, like shooting and then aiming, right? You will get lucky headshots, but it's not good practice. It's not a good practice to get. Or don't just instantly just start crouch spraying, right? There's a time and place for spraying and crouch spraying. I'm not going to say that they're completely useless and that you shouldn't be doing them in general. Certain times there is a good time to spray and crouch spray, but that is not every single gunfight. If you're crouch spraying and spraying every single gunfight, you will find that you are either going to lose more gunfights or you are going to lose consecutive gunfights after that, because you're not going to have enough bullets in your gun to effectively fight multiple fights back to back to back to back without reloading. Now I'm going to get into my training routine. You don't even need aim labs for this. Like I was saying, me personally, I don't even use aim labs. Everything that you need to improve your aim in Valorant is in this practice range. There's stuff on aim labs that isn't in practice range, but me personally, I don't really use aim labs too much. I don't really think that you need aim labs to be a better player in Valorant. Aim labs is only for maybe like very niche, like refinement. Like, I'm not going to say that aim labs does not help. Every person has their own testimonials for aim labs. My testimonial for aim labs is that it's just not needed. And don't think that you need aim labs to be better. Aim labs is really only good for refining already developed skills. It is not very good for getting fundamentals, which sounds really weird, and I know some people aren't going to agree with me, but just because you spend 10 hours a day labbing in aim labs does not mean that you're going to instantly go onto an FPS game and be a fucking demon. It does not. You're wasting so much of your time. It is better to spend 10 hours in game and learning fundamentals and getting good muscle memory and then jumping in the aim labs and building upon that muscle memory and those fundamentals than it is to just specifically use aim labs and then wonder why the hell it's not transferring. Like, you're not going to get into a game and just enough of my rant on aim labs. My voice is kind of cutting in and out. My sinuses are starting to get bad, so I'm gonna try and get through this before it gets too bad and I lose all my breath and can't speak. Firstly, I want you to go in and I want you to turn on elimination. I want you to turn off strafe. So if strafe is on, turn it off. Turn on bot armor and turn on infinite ammo. Click done. Start. You can do this with any gun you want. And then instead of just instantly trying to flick to them and shoot to them, I just want you to kind of try and trace them. Like I said in the past, you want good crosshair placement. You want to do the least amount of movement with your mouse to get to their head and kill them as possible, right? So a lot of time you'll see people be walking around and like their crosshair placement maybe be out their feet or something. You want it to be muscle memory for you to always just naturally have your mouse near head level, whether it's like right here. You basically want to have to do the least amount of input on your mouse to get to their head as possible. And if your aim's already here, whenever they come around a corner, it's literally just so minuscule movement, right? So starting out, I want you to just kind of trace them and get used to where head level is at different places, right? And eventually, after a while, it'll just become secondhand nature where you'll almost be able to imagine a player model no matter where you're looking and know about where head level would be, right? So like say someone's coming down this way and they're hugging that, I'll know that their head's going to be somewhere around here. So that way when they do end up peeking, I can just kind of adjust and shoot accordingly. You want your crosshair to be as close to head level as possible. And then once you kind of feel comfortable, you think you're getting it, I want you to shoot slowly. Speed does not matter right now. You see this time, ignore it. We want accuracy over speed. All right? Kind of go through, get comfortable with that new way of aiming, head level, and dead zoning, which is, like I said, using your movement to aim and not just solely relying on aiming. This is actually like aiming like this, like say you're right here and you're taking the time to aim. It's a lot harder than if you were to just walk and aim with your movement. For now, you can kind of just focus on strafing more, aiming head level. I want you to hit more headshots, less body shots, use less bullets to kill each person, and get used to aiming at the head. And aside from that, that's about it. Just kind of get in here. You'll be able to mess around with what you think and what's best for you. The good thing about the range is that there's so many different things you can do in it, and there's so many different ways that you can practice your aim. But basically the biggest takeaways from this is to focus on accuracy over speed. Over time, speed will come, but if you don't get accuracy before you get speed, then it doesn't matter how fast you are if you don't hit them, right? It does not matter how fast you flick from here to here unless you hit them. You can be the fastest fucking aimer in the world, but if you miss all your shots, then it's not gonna fucking matter. So you want to be able to aim. I don't care if you aim this slow to get to them. Speed will come, muscle memory will come, but you want to be able to flick and shoot reliably. You want to be able to do those micro adjustments and not have to use, you basically want your brain, your left hand and your right hand to have a brain of their own and do this stuff on their own without you having to mentally tell your hands to do what they're doing, if that makes sense. You want it to be ingrained in the movement of your hand. You want it to become muscle memory. You want it to just become second nature, right? Keep on practicing that. Practice accuracy over speed, and I promise you, you will see your aim and your gameplay level just skyrocket.